Have you ever played a Backrooms game? Which one, you ask? Well, there's Inside the Backrooms, Escape the Backrooms, Backrooms Escape Together, no relation to the last one, Backrooms, in all caps, Backrooms VHS, The Backrooms Survival, which also has no relation to the last one, Backrooms Exploration, or Football Manager 2022. Wait a second, why is that last one under the Backrooms tag? No idea. But those are only a few of the 91 Backrooms games on Steam. Over on itch.io, there's another 159 games that come up under Backrooms. Mostly just shovelware, except for toilet rooms, which I'll let slide on concept alone. Meanwhile, Google has over 55 million results if you search for Backrooms. I even played a few of these games many years ago when the concept was first taking off. Hey everyone, Dave or EphiTV here, your resident game dev / YouTuber, bringing you a Halloween special on, you guessed it, those funny little yellow rooms that everyone's obsessed with. But first, a quick trip back in time is in order. If you haven't heard of the Backrooms, there actually isn't that much to the story. Back in April 2018, a user on 4chan's X board posted this eerie pic in a thread for cursed images. It didn't gain that much attention until a year later somebody reposted that pic with the following caption. The gist of it is that you're forever stuck in this endless space that looks vaguely like the backrooms of an old shopping mall or office building. It's definitely a creepy concept, and the very strange picture really helps sell the whole story. The mixture of uncanny elements with liminal spaces burned itself into the internet's collective consciousness. Speaking of liminal spaces, the Backrooms helped propel this old concept back into popularity. Those are defined as transitory areas or places you pass through but were never meant to be dwelled in. You get pictures of abandoned malls, dark hallways, and all sorts of other places that elicit feelings of unease. Just like the Backrooms, a lot of liminal space content is also rooted in nostalgia. Tying elements of horror to cultural nostalgia really struck a chord for people. But at the risk of this becoming one big horror analysis video, I think that's enough to get us started. Anyways, making the Backrooms into a horror game was an idea that was discussed almost from the very beginning. It's hard to pin down what the very first Backrooms game was, but Day 7 by Puppet Combo is definitely one of the most influential. Already sporting a pretty sizable audience for his prior indie horror games, Puppet Combo was hard at work on a Backrooms game in the summer of 2019, not long after the original 4chan post blew up. And with that popularity came an absolute flood of Backrooms content, from games to animations, short films, and of course, countless memes. But even back in the early days, Puppet Combo mentioned having trouble fleshing out a full game from the Backrooms idea. And he had the experience of developing multiple successful horror games under his belt. So if even he was having troubles making the Backrooms into an interesting game, what hope would thousands of first-time developers have? None. The answer is none. They really didn't have much of a chance from the start. The extremely minimal concept and visuals makes it easy for first-time developers to drop in a few assets and call it a day. And many of them, when faced with the existential terror of the Backrooms, decided to throw that all out the window and add in a bunch of monsters. Sure, the concept of a big spooky monster stalking the Backrooms could be scary, but no game has ever even come close to the spookiness of that original post. But that didn't seem to stop anyone. So let's just dive in and see what wild ideas people came up with. I think it's best to start on Steam, where there might be some semblance of effort. I mean, they had to pay $100 to submit these games, so there's at least a tiny barrier of entry. The most successful Backrooms game on Steam is called Inside the Backrooms. It's a multiplayer game where you walk around the Backrooms in similar settings with friends. It looks like G-Man makes a few appearances, and you get to visit a birthday party. As one reviewer boldly claims, I no longer want to know what the dog is doing.
What the dog doing?
Spooky. Despite it looking like everything was ripped from Half-Life 2, I guess this is the pinnacle of Backrooms games. It's all downhill from here. A game called The Backrooms Simulator may be the most true to the Backrooms by giving the player absolutely nothing to do. You're literally in the Backrooms with no other twist to it. Screw monsters, threats, horror, what have you. This is the real Backrooms game that nobody asked for. But don't take my word for it. Here's what the people have to say. You can walk, you can run, you can stand still, you can simulate wandering around a mono yellow infinite space. It's everything you'll ever want out of a game. Well, it sounds incredibly boring, but props to the developers for delivering on that true Backrooms game experience. Most of the other games started to blend together in their mediocrity, so I decided to take a look at the lowest rated Backrooms game on Steam. Aptly named The Backrooms, this appears to be someone's first project in Unreal Engine. Download some basic free assets, throw them together in wildly disjointed rooms, and call it a horror game. But why is it so poorly rated compared to all the other forgettable Backrooms games out there? Let's check out the reviews. I don't think this game even understands the concept of Backrooms. Oof, this game literally has Chicago in it. Now, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but the review is negative. Sorry Chicagoans, it seems like your city's gonna be a big thumbs down. At least according to this guy. But like I said before, Steam comes with a barrier of entry. If we want to see some truly awful Backrooms games, then itch.io is definitely going to be the place to find them. Now itch does have some big titles, I even post my games there in addition to Steam. But it's free for anybody to post, and there's no requirements for what needs to be on the page. So a lot of these game pages are pretty bare, usually just a few sentences with no trailer in sight. And the games they're representing are equally basic. Like this one featuring some placeholder hands and a weirdly modeled ghost. It even goes as far as mocking the player when they die. But if you thought that was bare bones, take a look at this next one. They just copy pasted the original post for the game description with almost nothing else on the entire page. Even the extremely plain screenshots are posted multiple times for no reason. Other games sound like they were straight up written by AI trying to farm keyword traffic. You can't tell me that 1998 found footage backroom horror game free microphone sensitive demo was made by a human being. Digging through a mountain of similar titles, one page stood out ominously from the rest. Simply titled Backrooms, with a description stating, "Try not to see Saul Goodman for 1 minute, but don't just look in one direction." Bone chilling. The only thing that could be scarier were if a kid named Finger stalked the halls too. Next up is Backrooms Buff Doge Horror, which features a muscle-bound dog man breaking through various walls. Given how many wall-breaking screenshots are on the page, I wonder if this game was originally about the Kool-Aid Man before they landed on this idea. Like I mentioned earlier, Toilet Rooms was one of the few games to actually take this idea in a new direction. But wait a second, there's also another game called Lost in the Bathrooms. Both of these feature eerily similar models, textures, and even a similar lighter in the bottom right. I guess even original takes on the Backrooms are derivative now. That's how far down the rabbit hole we've gone. Rounding out this long, rambling list of games with no real direction, we have Shrek's Basement. Despite the concept, this page actually has a bit of meat to it. There's a handful of screenshots of Shrek T-posing while he chases down the player, and a highly compressed trailer to go with it. The gameplay seems to consist of collecting what else but onions, while a Shrek model that was probably ripped from the Xbox game floats after you. Not revolutionary in the slightest, but you gotta give them points for this one screenshot. The heavily overused VHS effects paired with the barely functional flashlight illuminating an emotionless Shrek clipping through the wall. It's that special kind of indie game trash you can only find in the depths of itch.io. At this point, any idea is better than another yellow smeared Windows 98 screensaver. Anyways, those are just a small fraction of the countless Backrooms games out there. Some of them were so far removed from the original concept that I'm starting to see why Football Manager 2022 made the list. As someone who's made a handful of horror games myself, I think there's actually a lot we can learn here. I mean, the Backrooms gained massive popularity for very good reasons. Now, I doubt that we'll ever see a truly great Backrooms game, but using liminal spaces and the inherent creepiness they offer can work very well in a horror game. Give us more weird dead malls, abandoned office buildings, and all the uncanny retro nostalgia you can offer. Just don't forget to put them inside an actual good game. Despite what some people think, aesthetics are only a small part of making a horror game. Just because you have a creepy concept doesn't mean you can neglect basic game design. But at that point, why make another Backrooms clone in the first place? Just go out there and make something from your own ideas. Maybe one of them will become the next big horror meme and we can start this whole cycle all over again. I mean, I'd be happy to play it. Anyways, that about wraps up this year's spooky Halloween special here on EphiTV. If you want to see some more stuff like this, subscribing is always greatly appreciated. Thanks for stopping by everyone, and don't forget to turn off no clip on your way home.